Hi, welcome to the PCET Mentor Training course for Bradford College. In this session, what we're going to have a look at are the definitions of mentoring and how that relates to the PCET courses at Bradford College, the roles and responsibilities of a mentor, the mentor and mentee relationship and the reasons behind why you'd want to be a mentor, and also have a look at the methods, approaches and processes involved in mentoring. The word mentor originally comes from Greek mythology. Odysseus, who went off to fight in the Trojan War, left his son Telemachus under the care of another person, another adult, and that person was called mentor. And eventually, mentor itself has come on to mean someone who has age and wisdom and trust. Eventually, Telemachus does grow up to be a strong leader and goes off to find out what happened to his father. So maybe mentor did a good job. So what is mentoring? And how is mentoring within education? Well, the official view given by the Department for Education states that mentoring is a structured, sustained process for supporting professional learners through significant career transitions. Another definition from the Oxford School of Coaching and Mentoring suggests mentoring is to support and encourage people to manage their own learning in order that they may maximize their potential, develop their skills, improve their performance, and become the person they want to be. And a bit of a fluffier one. Mentors are guides. They lead us along the journey of our lives. We trust them because they have been there before. They embody our hopes, cast light on the way ahead, interpret arcane signs, warn us of lurking dangers, and point out unexpected delights along the way. Of those three definitions, which one do you think relates to you and how you think mentoring should be? We've got the DFES mentoring quote, which states it's structured, sustained process for supporting learners. There's the mentoring to support and encourage people to manage their own learning and improve the person they want to be, the person they want to be. And there's the fluffier one, where the mentors are guides, lurking dangers, and pointing out unexpected delights along the way. So which of those do you think is you? And ultimately, what's in it for you? So why mentor? Or what's in it for me? Mentoring provides opportunities for networking with other teachers, opportunities to share knowledge and expertise, helps develop your coaching and mentoring skills, and encourages you to reflect in your own practice. It can also lead to more formalised CPD, and there's modules in the Masters and BA which involve mentoring and coaching. The roles and responsibilities of a mentor. To make mentoring work, you should be clear what you both want out of it. In the first meeting you have, it's good if you have a discussion on where it's going to go, the sort of targets you want to meet, and how you're going to approach the mentoring process. At this point, it's good to highlight what the drivers are for mentoring to work and where any likely conflicts could appear. A mentor should also communicate within the institution, talking to the course leader, talking with the trainee themselves, and supporting them within the staff room or within the department itself. And look at developing a program that enables the points that we've just talked about above to be developed over the training course, and make sure that includes measurable targets, targets where the trainee has a chance to achieve and move forward and progress in their role. And also, you should set up methods for evaluation and review of the mentoring program regularly, making sure that the process is still working, making sure the relationship between you and the mentee is still being maintained effectively, and making any adjustments to ensure that the mentee has the best chance to succeed. Key factors for successful mentoring, as suggested by Tabron, are a clear agreed set of objectives, good communication and some training, matching of mentors to mentees, evaluation and review of the mentoring program. So hopefully this fits in to your ideas of how mentoring is going to take place. The matching of mentors to mentees doesn't necessarily always happen in the fact that you sometimes get given a mentee, but then you can set up through clear communication and evaluating and reviewing the program a clear set of objectives that helps the process along, supports you to be a mentor and them to be a successful trainee on the teacher training courses. So what quality and skills do you think you need to be a mentor? Have a minute to think about that. Julie here, in her work on transformational mentoring, suggests the following qualities and skills. A mentor should be there to show people the ropes and help them climb them, pass on knowledge, look after people, acting as a sounding board, helping people put learning into practice, being a role model, a guide, a champion, talking to people about their careers, and coaching, ultimately being that guide and not a guru. How do you think that fits in with your perception of mentoring and your experience, if you've had any before, and how mentoring works? Sometimes you know that you have to change yourself as a mentor throughout the time as the trainees on the course. It may be that you're more of a guide early doors, pointing out aspects of practice that they need to learn, they need to work on, and you also maybe have to tell them rather than letting them work it out to ensure that they have success in the early parts of the relationship. And then later on, you can take that step back and let them develop for themselves, let them find out things. So why do we need a mentor on these teacher training courses? Well, it's really important that we get help and support in identifying subject specialist knowledge, content and pedagogy. We need someone there to be looking and observing the trainees from the point of view of the subject specialism, to really identify how they're progressing and develop targets that will help them increase their knowledge and delivery of the subject specialism. And we can go in and watch from a general teaching point of view, but it's really good to have that subject specialist point of view. You know the learners, you know the environment, and you know the subject. And it's really good to get that and really support for the trainee to help them develop a bit further and increase that subject specific knowledge. It also links to what Ofsted expect. Ofsted expect all trainee teachers to have mentors, and this is done in different ways depending on the sector, whether it's primary, secondary, or PCET, like these courses are. But it's really important that that knowledge is developed within the trainee. The PCET courses are made up of a number of different levels. So just to give you a heads up on what your trainee might be doing, there are some trainees doing certificate in education, some doing PG DIP, and both of these are professional teaching qualifications. They will be qualified teachers at the end, no matter what level they're doing. It's Cert Ed level. There is an expectation for them to research and evaluate and analyse different aspects of teaching and learning. The PG DIP is at master's level, so a lot more in-depth critique is needed at this level, more reading around the subject. So your trainee or mentee might be under a lot of pressure to read a lot of material when it comes to the assignments. Alongside the Cert Ed and the PG DIP, the trainee may also be doing an additional diploma. This is a legal requirement if the trainee is teaching ESOL, literacy, numeracy, or disabled learners. And how this will work is they will do the generic core modules with Cert Ed and PG DIP, and then when the generic students are off doing a subject specialist pedagogy module, which is the third module in the first year if they're part-time, those that are doing additional diplomas will go off to do a module in ESOL, literacy and numeracy, or disabled learners. They'll also do this in the second year, where they'll go off and do a specialist module. They'll also be observed by a specialist tutor from those areas to make sure that the pedagogy is sound. This slide shows an example of the modules that the mentee or trainee will be expected to learn. So, for example, a part-time 2-year course, in year 1 they'll do teaching, learning and assessment, theories, and then subject specialist pedagogy. And this is the point where they'd go off to do the specialist diploma if they were doing that route. In year 2 they'll be doing designing and developing the curriculum, action research, or again going off to do their specialist diploma, and then finally developing professional practice. If they are a 1 year student full time, they've got to squeeze all this into 1 year. As well as doing those academic modules, there's also a teaching portfolio they need to complete. And this runs throughout the course, whether it's 1 year or 2 year. It's an online portfolio that they build evidence to demonstrate their professional development. So within there, that's where the observations go, and that's a major part of that portfolio, along with any CPD they do, to record their teaching hours, and discussions on minimum core, i.e. the literacy and numeracy skills. The observations within that portfolio need to include 4 that are done by the PCET team and 4 that are carried out by a subject specialist mentor. So 8 observations in total need to be included in the teaching portfolio. These need to be spread out over the year to give the trainee the chance to develop from any action points you may notice. And for each of these observations, the trainee must do a reflection to discuss what happened in the session and different aspects they might alter, change, and also a response to what you have written in your feedback. General guidelines for observations are to remember that it's developmental. There is no grade for the observations. We're not grading them, we are offering developmental support. So when you have a look at the form, which you will be doing in a minute, you will see that there's a set of questions, and within there you just write about what's happened and then offer some suggestions for development. What you should do is agree a time and date and try and balance those through the year. So don't allow the trainee or the mentee to bunch up the observations so they end up doing so many in a month, because they need time to develop. The class itself should be at least 6 learners with a taught element. This is just to enable you to see a wide range of activities taking place and the way the trainee can manage a group of learners. It can be in a workshop, but every observation can't be in a workshop. So you need to make sure somewhere in there there's some sort of theory session or classroom session, not just all workshop sessions. Ideally it should be 1 hour in length, and your first observation when you come to see your mentee should be with a PCET member. So there's a joint observation being done. They'll record something, you record something, have a chat about it, and what's good for the mentee is they get 2 observations in one, because they'll still have to write a reflection on each one. And what you need to do as you're doing the observation is complete the form that's provided. So all you need to what I want you to do now is pause this video and click on the observation form and have a look at it. And which sections do you feel you're particularly confident about, and which are you not sure about? And what are your general impressions of the form? So pause this video and go and click on the observation form link below. At the start of any observation, you should be given the scheme of work, lesson plan, and any handouts or activities. You should also be given the rationale for the session, which includes the overview of the session, any specific learners with needs that need to be highlighted, and action points from any previous observations with a bit of a guide on how they've addressed that. There should also be a register, and it would be good if the trainee introduces you to the group. Once you've watched the session and you've completed the form, or you've made notes to then fill the form in later, you should give some oral feedback as soon as possible. So it might be that you have a quick chat after lesson or during break, or come back to them as soon as you can, because they will be anxious and they will want to know what has happened. Then you can give some detailed feedback on the form. And don't be afraid, if the session has gone a bit wrong, to refer it. If you notice on the form, it says right on the bottom, refer the session. And if you think it needs to be done, then you can do that. And it's up to you what relationship you have with the mentee as to how you take that forward. What you could do is just note that the session's been referred and then rearrange another observation. Or if you want to formalize it a bit more, you can complete the form, state it's referred, and make sure you send that to the course leader. And this will help them monitor the overall development of the trainee and then rearrange a date in the future. Your feedback should really be focused on the subject-specific teaching skills. That's what we really need to see, and that'll support the teaching and learning and assessment observations that we're doing. What I'd like to do next then is pause this video and click on the link A Critical Friend and have a watch how they go through the process of giving verbal feedback. Who gets a copy of the observation form? The trainee's responsibility is to keep that observation form in their portfolio and write the reflection on it. It would be handy if you kept a copy as well to make sure that there's a backup there and it's good for your records. And could you make sure you also send one to the personal tutor of the trainee or the course tutor? And this enables them to get the overview of the trainee's development and ensure that the action points are being moved on. Other observations the trainee or your mentee will be asked to do would be to observe you. That'd be quite nice, so they can see someone else doing or presenting their subject specialism and learn from that. They're also, as part of their portfolio, required to have 2 peer observations in their portfolio. And it's really important for them just to see other people in action so they can identify and develop and look for different ways of delivering. Throughout the process of mentoring, it would be useful if you had regular meetings with your mentee. And now sometimes this happens informally or is very difficult to set up, but they have to record these meetings and write up any action points into their portfolio. In particular, if you talk about things that they can then implement in class, they really should write that up in a section in their learning journal, their portfolio, about meetings with mentors, because it's really good then to see their subject specialism develop. During those meetings, it would be good if you could set some targets, talk about action planning, think about those observations and any issues, and also remind them to keep those reflections up to date. So if they've had an observation, get the reflections written up and placed on their portfolio. And the idea behind that is to make sure it's refreshing their mind as they write that reflection, and also so their course tutor can keep an eye on their developments and making sure they're really thinking about and reflecting on their teaching practice. And one of the things you can stay away from a bit is the assignments. It would be nice if you could maybe read through them and proofread them, but if the mentee starts asking questions about, well, what content should I put in there, I would shy away from that and I would direct them to their course leader, their module tutor for that particular assignment. This is just to protect yourself really and make sure that you don't give something incorrect and then the mentee could lose faith, or something that they might ask them to put something in that the assessor, the module tutor, is not expecting, and it could affect the marks or the grades. So and there's a lot of work in there, and that's their responsibility really, and we don't want you doing the work for them. So try and stay away from the assignments, other than maybe support on proofreading or any guidance or places where they could look maybe for reference material. What I want you to do then, the final activity for this training, is to pause this video and click on the link to the example lesson. Use the observation form for a mentor and watch the lesson and then attempt to fill in that observation form and decide how you're going to do it, look at the aspects of it, the questions, how it all relates, and just really think about, is that form useful and are you comfortable with it, and is there any feedback you could give to the PCET team to help develop that mentor training form any further. And also practice, and it gives you a chance to have a look at that. So pause this, open up the observation form and click on the example lesson. Now, thanks very much for taking part in the training, and I hope it was useful to you. Any feedback, any thoughts or any concerns, please get in touch with the PCET team.